Hello guys, welcome to another weekly breakdown video. Now in this week, obviously we'll start from the weekly. Let me just go straight out to the point. No wasting of time anymore. Now as we can see on DXY, clearly we can see the market is going bullish from several weeks now. Yeah, it's going bullish, so it doesn't make sense to suddenly change our bias to bearish, right? On the weekly time frame, if it's going up, it doesn't make sense to change our bias. It literally doesn't make any sense, even if it's in a supply zone, until and unless we see a bearish rejection from that zone. We are looking for bias. So my weekly bias for DXY is clearly bullish, no questions asked. And my weekly bias for GBP USD is not that clean. You can see, as you can see, it was a doji. Literally this candle is a doji. It closed as a bullish candle, but the DXY closing bullish and GBP USD closing bullish doesn't make sense. So what we do, when those two are doing the same thing, we go to Euro USD to confirm our bias. And Euro USD is literally going down. That means GBP USD also but has higher probability of going down. And it might be just the smart money are gaining some fuel to make a move to the downside. Yeah, something like that. And also the price has been moving bearish from several weeks now, so it doesn't make sense. When the market was going bullish, we were looking for buys. When it started to going bearish, we are looking for sells. If we do that, if we just implement that simple thing in our trading, bro, your trading is gonna improve so much. And also this week, what I have figured out, one thing was, if your weekly bias is bearish, maybe some days you will get a bullish bias. Like your weekly bias is bearish, so for a week your bias is bearish. This is the draw of liquidity. And if my weekly bias is bearish, this is my target for the week. Yeah, that's totally fine, totally get it. And there is also previous weekly low, and this is our second target right here. But maybe Monday and Tuesday will go up to make the move down. As we know, the weekly profiling, the Monday and Tuesday, maybe it will make the high of the week, which exactly happened this week. I'll show you how soon. But what does that indicate is, Monday we could have caught a buy, Tuesday we could have caught a buy if it's aligning with the daily bias, right? You can also do that. You can be a little bit riskier trader and you can trade with a daily bias always. Or what you can do, if you do that, your win rate will be not that much, but you can also catch some beautiful trades. But that trade which you are catching on the daily bias will, if it's not aligning with the weekly bias, that will be a short trade, only a 1:3, your mechanical trading plan on the correct timing. If you do that, obviously it will work. But if you try to hold that throughout the week, then it will not work, sorry. So which I have also learned this week. So if your daily and weekly bias are aligning together, that's a very, very good sign to take a trade. So now we go to the daily time frame to show you. On the daily time frame, if I see, the market is literally making, this was the low that caused this high. So clearly we can see the market, this was the higher low, this was the higher high right there. If I show you the daily drawing right here, this was the low that caused this high. So whatever it does, it's still bullish, to be honest. Until and unless the price body close below this, there will be no change of character in the daily time frame. So the daily is still bullish, but the daily bias we define by looking at the previous daily candles. That's a very, very important tip right there. Here we can see Wednesday was kind of, literally last week was not that good, this week was not that good. There were weeks up and down. It was a doji week. Still we managed to catch many beautiful trades here, but it was a doji week. And Friday it was a bullish, kind of bullish candle, but not a bullish candle. So what we, for getting our bias, we go to the GBP USD. GBP USD is clearly showing the daily time frame may be bullish, and it's aligning with DXY. The main thing is it's aligning with DXY, giving this bearish rejection from this this supply zone right here that I've marked. This is the supply zone which was already mitigated here, but a small amount of this supply zone was there, and this supply zone was there, not a problem. But the price going there and rejecting from the supply zone, that's what matters for us. So clearly I can see that maybe also the price has made a higher high right now. The price has to make a higher low, right, to continue making a higher high. so it was also making so much sense for Monday to go down. So what I did, it's also aligning with our bias with Euro USD, so I was looking for sells. Sorry, I was looking for buys on GBP USD and sells on DXY. So now let me show you exactly what I did. Now I went to the H4 time frame, which is the 4 hourly time frame. If I want to look for buys, I have to look for demand zones. Yeah, so the price action was not one of the cleanest because of the doji on the weekly. The price was literally choppy, but even we can trade the choppy markets very, very carefully and make good return out there. So this is the demand that I can spot. Because of this, there was no fair value gap, but there was a break of structure here. We can clearly see there was a break of structure here. The market literally gave a huge candle on the 4 hourly, and this was the demand which I was seeing, but the market was right now here, so I have to find a demand zone somewhere around here, right? So I exactly did that. And if I show you what I did on the hourly, so my daily bias is bullish. So let me fast forward it. So on the daily time frame, I was looking for buys. I marked this demand zone right here and this fair value gap right here on the hourly. So also I've learned one thing here was, if you don't have a clear demand zone on the 4 hourly, you can go to the hourly and might be you have a clearer demand zone right there, and you can use that in your advantage. This demand zone was made on Friday, so it was a good demand zone. There was a change of character from that demand zone right there, so it was also valid, very, very valid demand zone. And what we did was, we went to the lower time frames to look for an entry signal right here. This trade literally I took it with intuition, meaning intuition, right? Like there was a move on 12:30 right here, but this didn't make sense to me because there was so much of liquidity. Just sweeping the Asian low didn't make sense for me on this trade, because there was liquidity from here, previous structural liquidity, there was fair value gap here, there was demand zone here, so there was so much potential that the market will go down and then make the move, for me at least. So what I did was I literally waited for the price to do that, and I took a position right here, which for some reason has not showing right now, so I will have to do it again, something like this. And I took a buy position right there, and it was a winning trade. It was not with my weekly bias. You see that, right? It was not with my weekly bias. Clearly we can see my weekly bias is bearish, so only looking for sales would be ideal in this week. But we can also catch moves like this, what I'm trying to say. That will be a little bit a riskier play, but if you can do it, it's also worth it. So it is what it is. And this was the previous week high, that was the previous week low, and if our bias is bearish on the weekly, our target is that one. So might be Monday and Tuesday is making the high of the week due to the daily profiling, we know that. So now what I will do is go for looking for daily bias for Tuesday, directly going on the point. Monday after closing like this, not GBP USD is not giving us that much of information, so what we'll do, we'll go to GBP USD, DXY. So DXY was clearly a bullish kind of closure. DXY was kind of bullish, GBP USD, whereas GU was also bullish. Now we go to Euro to watch out, and the Euro was also bullish, you can see. So after watching those, I take 2 out of 3, right? So GBP USD and Euro were aligning, and DXY was literally also bullish. So what I did, I looked for buys again. On Tuesday I looked for buys again. So now let me show you from which zone did I will not show you the 4 hour, what I look at the 4 hour, okay, because it will take so much of time and it can't be added on all of them, like the DXY correlation, like the 4 hourly price action, how to mark a demand zone, which demand zones are higher probability. That I will not show you in this video because it will take so much of time. So on Tuesday my bias is bullish again, so I am looking for a demand zone somewhere around here. As you can also see, this demand zone was also used on Monday. It literally got mitigated perfectly. So what we do is we wait for Asian range. Until and unless the Asian range is closed, we can't do nothing, right? I was looking for buys again on Tuesday, but the Asian low never got swept, so we never took the trade. Simple as that. As simple as it can get. My bias was bullish, Asian low didn't got swept, our setup didn't appear, we didn't took the trade. As simple as it can get. So now what we'll do is look for the daily bias again. Now here my weekly bias is bearish. I'm telling you again and again, right? The Monday gave a bullish candle, Tuesday gave a kind of a bearish candle. Might be this is the high of the week. We can anticipate this to be the high of the week and take a beautiful sell on Wednesday and hold it through the week, because we know that the weekly bias is bearish. So if we can catch the top of the move, top of the week, it will be so much good, because there is a high probability that this previous week low will be targeted because of our bias, right? That makes so much of sense. Now we are getting buying opportunity in DXY, and my bias on DXY is also bullish. After seeing this candle right here, it makes so much sense to continue buying on DXY. And also let me show you the news. Monday there was no news, Tuesday there was no news. So whenever there is no news, it's ideal to trade. That's why I traded Monday. That's also one of the reasons. Tuesday there was existing home sales, which is not a high probability, so we also traded. That's why I was also looking for Tuesday. Wednesday there was a lot of news, so not a good day to trade, look for a trade, because of there was hell lot of news on that day. So Wednesday I was not so much confirmed if I will take the trade or not, because there was so much news. But also if we can catch those moves on Wednesday, it would have been so much good. Why? Because we are catching the top of the move, right? That's why. Here we can see we took a buy anticipating this to continue with the on Tuesday. Now I see my mistake right here. Tuesday my bias was correct, right? My bias was bullish, so I traded with the bullish. My weekly bias was bearish, but I took a trade on Tuesday, as it has so much high chance that it might be the high of the week and then continue down, because my weekly bias is bearish. So new new thing unlocked here. I took a continuation model when it didn't make any sense, to be honest. It didn't make any sense. I tried to take a continuation model against my higher time frame weekly bias, which is a very, very bad thing to do. So next time I will keep that in mind. It has higher probability of making the high of the week and then continue with the higher time frame trend, right? So new thing figure out. You will figure out those things through backtesting and journaling. So, and that's how you improve. So on Wednesday my bias is clearly bearish now, because Tuesday gave the high of the week. We are anticipating that, and it's literally going down. So Wednesday we are looking for sells. We wait for Asian range to close, because until and unless the Asian range is closed, we can't do nothing. And the Asian range closed, there is a supply zone right here to sell on the hourly, with a change of character or breakout structure right around here. But we don't look, it doesn't make sense the price to go all the way up to that supply and then come back, right? For me at least, because of this selling pressure right here. So what I do in that case is I go to the lower time frames like M15. After the Asian range is closed, I marked a clean supply zone. This was a very, very clean supply zone on M15. The breakout structure was there. There was a small fair value gap here, and also the supply zone was clean, because this was a clear structure, market structure, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. And you can argue there was a breakout structure right here, which I have marked, but why is it not showing? I don't know. So what I'm looking for sales on Wednesday, something like this. But there is also very, very high impact news, so we also have to keep that in mind. Yeah. So the M15 supply zone literally got respected clearly. Wednesday was a very good day, but the timing was not good. The 12:45, the timing was not good. So to be honest, this would have been the winning trade if I have taken it, if I was confident in this trade. But the stop loss also didn't make sense, 11 pips stop loss, and so just didn't took this trade, missed this trade on Wednesday. But my bias was still correct. So now what I will do is look for Thursday's bias. Now, as Wednesday has given a huge weak rejection, this was the previous week low. Previous week low was swept on Wednesday. It took the previous week low liquidity and then literally went up, and the market closed as a bullish candle. So now we go to the dollar and clearly see that the dollar is giving bearish candle, and the GBP USD is giving bullish candle. Now ask yourself, my weekly bias is bearish, now GBP USD daily bias is giving buys, right? It doesn't make sense with our weekly bias, but it's a bit risky approach, but high risk, high reward, something like that. You can keep that in mind, and If you're a high risky trader, then you can also take that. As you can see, the previous week low was taken, and on Thursday I was looking for buys. Now I wait for the Asian range to close. The previous daily high was also taken very early on, I guess. I marked this M15 demand zone just like I marked this M15 supply zone on Wednesday. Right here I marked this zone because the hourly was not one of the cleanest zone. On the hourly there was no demand zone, so I went lower to the 15 minutes. I tried to force the trade. To be honest, Thursday was no trade day for us because it was not aligning with the higher time frame bias, and we know that it is higher probability of going down rather than going up. So taking this trade was not very low probability. It was a losing trade, and losing are part of the game. We learned through that. Learning from this trade is more valuable than, yeah, I have learned that now. In the middle of the week, I don't have to go against our bias. Only take the trades with your bias. That makes more sense. Yeah. So now on Thursday, I was looking for buys, which didn't play out. I lost the trade. Now the final day, which is Friday. Friday is, if a daily profiling is I'm looking for sells, then I'm looking for Monday, Tuesday to make the high of the week, Wednesday probably to give the low, to continue with the higher time frame trend, and Friday to pull back, something like this. This is the weekly profiling that we have learned. And after seeing a Thursday candle closure like this, anywhere, it doesn't make sense to look for buys anywhere on earth, to be honest. It only makes sense to look for sells. And also on DXY, what we can see is a very bullish candle closure, closing above the previous weekly week high, which is a very good sign. So only by looking at that. In DXY also I do the analysis for the lower time frames, but I cannot show that in this video. I know exactly how to do that, but for now just bear with it, guys. I will show you in another videos how to do that. Okay. Also now, if I show you the analysis for the lower time frames for Friday, on Friday I was looking for sells again. So if I am looking for sells, I have to look for something, right? I have to look for a supply zone. So the Asian range closed like this. There was the good supply zone would have been this one. On the hourly, this would have been a nice supply zone, because this high caused this new low, and also the break of structure, market structure shift. There was market structure shift. There was no fair value gap, so not one of the strongest, but this hourly supply zone made sense to take a trade from. But what I did was, as the momentum was so high and also the Asian range decides which zones we trade from, so I went to the lower time frames and marked this very weak 15-minute supply zone. And when the market came here, after seeing this, I took a trade here very early on. This Friday was also very low probability day to trade, and also there was news on all day Jackson Hole something news, which is a very anything can happen on the day, so not a high probability day to trade. And what we do when we try to force a trade on the day when there's no clear bias, or if the bias is not aligning, or there's no order block, what happens when we do that? We lose a trade. And also this order block was made on 23:30. I don't know which session is that. We only want to take a trade from the zones which are made in London session. Like this zone was made on 14, which is London session, right? So it's a very high probability zone. And this zone here, which we won on Monday, was made on New York session. So also the only trade the order blocks that are made on the New York or London session. Okay, we also got to learn that thing. And Friday was literally a losing day. If I have taken a trade here, I'm just backtesting now, so I'm trying everything that's possible, and this hourly order block would have worked, but yeah, it was a very low probability day to trade on Friday. So it is what it is. Got to learn a lot of things. And if I show you the weekly, and also I have marked this vertical line because there was news, and I took the trade because there was 2 hours left for that news. We also see that that's one of our rules. So yeah, that was the weekly breakdown for us. And what we can see is the weekly has closed a very bearish candle right here. It's a very clean. So next week trading will be so much easier for us, because there's a clean bias where the market is headed. Whereas These two candles, look at these two candles. 2 weeks literally the price did nothing, went up, came down. Now it's clearly following a trend. That's when we want to trade. To be honest, these 2 weeks we shouldn't have traded. We should have monitored everything, we should have learned, but we should have waited for this. Yeah, keep that in mind. So many things to learn. Yeah.